Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Unity on the River at this beautiful facility. Welcome to our first live service in well over a year. How exciting is this, in person? And we're calling it a hybrid service because you can Zoom in if you want to stay home, or you can come and join us. And I like that term hybrid, but you know, we were doing this way before COVID, right? And we're just glad that the rest of the world finally caught up to us. So let's get centered and for our opening prayer. And if you will, just take in a deep breath with me. Exhaling. Just becoming present in this moment right here, right now. Affirming in the one power and the one presence. You can call it God, the omnipotence, the omnipresence, the omniscience, the all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present, And we know in unity that this power is not an external force, an external being looking down on us. It is us. It is everywhere present. It is you, it is me. And so today, I invite you to just become aware, notice, feel when that brilliant sun outside is beating down and we feel that warmth. Can we be in gratitude? Can we be in joy? Can we remember that everything is for our greater good, for our greater awakening, to show up as the best version of the Christ essence that we are, that we can. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Namaste, everyone. Namaste. So good to be here with everyone. And I picked this song, Lift Me Up. It's actually about the sons and daughters of Abraham. And here we are in this sacred, very sacred place. And we're so blessed and gifted to be in this holy temple, doing our own worship. Lift us all up. Here we go. Lift me up, I'm asking you, lift me up and see me through. Lift me up and take me straight to the promise of that promised land. See, all the rivers have been running red, blood of the children that Abraham had, but all the prophecies of doom and dread, well, they can't last a minute in your love instead. Lift me up, I'm telling you, lift me up and see me through. Lift me up and take me straight to the promise of that promised land again. See, all your people have been crying tears, the culmination of all our fears. Could it be the end is near? No, it's the end of our suffering. To love so clear, you gotta lift me up. I'm telling you, lift me up and see me through. Lift me up and take me straight to the promise of that promised land. One more time, straight to the promise of that promised land. Oh, I am reaching for you, God of my heart. In you I claim the right to make a new start and finally to realize a conscious mind is part of the oneness we all want to find. Lift me up, everyone, I'm telling you, lift me up and see us through. Lift me up and take me straight to the promise of that, straight to the promise of that, straight to the promise of that promised land. boy. Brian's going to leapfrog over the, here we go.
Wow.
I know. Wow.
I brought the weather.
Oh.
I decided to see if I really do sweat a lot when I get in this really hot weather. And it's true, I do. So yeah, this is sweat up here. Right. Sing along if you'd like. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. One more time. Peace like a river.
Like a river.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. One more time. Peace like a river. A cappella. Here we go. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. One more. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Good to see everybody.
Live music and we can sing to it. Isn't that great?
In
This
person.
is so cool.
And we're not all out of sync. Yeah.
All right, so now is the time for our meditation. So I invite you to prepare yourselves, get comfortable as Meg leads us in with a song, our thoughts, our prayers.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a place of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. Sing it with us. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness. Seek a higher consciousness. A place of peacefulness. And know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a
Thoughts are prayers. Let's take that in. Along with a deep breath. And the inhale. And then the exhale. And without forcing the breath, I invite you on the in-breath to take in what thoughts do I want to keep. I bring these in. On the exhale, what thoughts do I let go of? What thoughts do not serve me? Let those go. I breathe in love, joy, bliss, harmony. I let go disharmony, dis-ease. All those thoughts that don't serve me. Ideas of gossip, ideas of judgment, ideas of separation do not serve my greater and higher good, and I let those go. On the in-breath, what version of myself do I want to align with? What is the highest and best version of myself? And in that highest version that I can imagine, that I can vision, that I can align with, what step, one step can I take to align with that version? And let's take that into the silence. As we come back to this present moment, back to the awareness of the room, the people around us, I invite you to affirm with me, I am love, I give love, I receive love. I am love, I give love, I receive love. I am love, I give love, I receive love. And so it is.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Thank you, Meg, and the music team. So in early Unity, April of 1889, Modern Thought magazine, which was a monthly publication, first came out to give people a practical tools in Christianity. Practical tools in Christianity. The Unity was not about dogma, this is the way it must be. It was an invitation. These are things you can do to realize, to awaken, to open up. And in 1903, the first Unity Church was incorporated as the Unity Society of Practical Christianity. Practical Christianity, and I love that term. And it really started with the magazine and with ideas and thoughts and prayers, and then led to lessons that Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, would give. And he would invite people. These lessons were at 3 o'clock. They were after regular service. And he would always maintain, go to your regular service, go to wherever you go for your spiritual food, and then come here for lessons. So I've always liked that about Unity, and that's, I think, what led me to Unity, because what led me to Unity were the classes. That's what I wanted to go to. I wanted more info. Give me more info. How do I do this? And so part of that teaching led me to a couple of books by Robert Assagioli, an MD. And he was a colleague of Abraham Maslow, Carl Jung, and Sigmund Freud. And in his book, Psychosynthesis, he describes the different aspects of personality and the different personalities, with the underlying idea that there is one super consciousness, the transpersonal self, that is always inviting all the personalities to come together. So if you Google the definition of psychosynthesis, it's a therapeutic approach that focuses on personal growth and development. So practitioners of psychosynthesis believe individuals tend to synthesize various aspects of the self to become more evolved and self-actualized. And so Roberto Assagioli, again, led us to, it's an integration of the transpersonal self, the higher self, and these other personalities. So I don't know about you, but for me, I can identify with this. So I can identify with the idea that when I'm with my family that I grew up with, my siblings, and they're all out in the West Coast now, they left me. And I can notice my personality change when I go visit them, that I'm that, bratty, sarcastic brother that they grew up with, Somehow they still love me. I don't know what it is, but I notice that, and my loving wife will remind me that I show up differently for Unity and people at work than I do for her. So I thank her for that. I'm trying to be better, and I keep reminding me, love. Maybe you're watching. So in his sequel book, The Act of Will, and he touches on will in psychosynthesis, but really what he talks about is the will is the I consciousness, the I self, that encompasses all those personalities. And I think it prudent for me to read the foreword in the book by Dorothy Furman, who's an ED in Amherst, Massachusetts. So this is the theory of the will, which can be truly called the unknown and neglected factor in modern psychology, psychotherapy, and in education. So to be both consciousness and will is to be a human being in wholeness. But to be both consciousness and will is to be a human being in wholeness, not at the mercy of drives, nor a passive observer of our fate. And Assagioli calls it the freed self, the I consciousness, that in essence we are, is both awareness and will. The I consciousness is both awareness and will. Where have we heard these things before? So we live the in-breath and the out-breath, an integral part of our universe, taking in and giving back. And the will, acting as our out-breath, allows us to know ourselves. It allows us to know ourselves in the world, to have and be conscious of our impact, and to responsibly claim the power to create. So the goal is the freed self, Assagioli will tell us. So how do we get there? So I first want to touch on how, and I thought Meg's thoughts, our prayers, lead into our meditation was perfect. And she asked me what the talk was, and I gave it to her, and she goes, okay. So I think it was like, what do I do with that? But she's so intuitive. She put the perfect music program together, I believe. So Assagioli will tell us about a Hindu saying called Sarvam Anam. Sarvam Anam, am I saying that right? I don't know, because I don't know Hindu. Everything is food. Everything is food. So sound, visual, vibrations, architectural structures, union of forms, colors, music, all without any real attention, right? Just absorb it. All goes into our unconscious, which goes into our subconscious. But it's forming us, right? Because we're taking it in. The thoughts are prayers. What thoughts do I hold on to? What do I let go of? And not identifying with the thoughts that don't serve us. So, how do we bring in this concept of will and how we can use it to become the best version of ourselves, to integrate with that transpersonal self? So first, Saggioli tells us that we have to recognize the will, that the will exists. And in unity, we should know this because it's one of our 12 powers, right? It's one of our faculties. Now, Amy's right on. So 2 is realization of having a will. So the will exists, I have a will. And then the 3rd is a discovery of being a will, that I am will. I got to take another drink. I hope this lasts my thought. You have more? Thank you. So the discovery of the will, Saggioli tells us that that's hard. That's a hard concept to discover the will. It's like saying, who is God? Where is God, right? It's like smoke. Can I put my arms around it? Is it tangible? And he calls it, he says it's analogous to talking about beauty, right? Or the arousal of the aesthetic sense, like mystical experience, perhaps. Like, how do you describe that? Or illumination, a revelation, or an awakening from looking at a beautiful sunset or in the eyes of a child, right? It just does something to us, right? We just become present with that. So the same is true for the will. So it could be like at any given moment, in a crisis, a disaster, we freeze, right? Fear strikes us. And then we have that opportunity or that awakening, perhaps, of what is mine to do? Where do I go? What do I do with this? So an unmistakable inner experience of its reality. So when strength threatens to paralyze, or when disaster threatens to paralyze us, strength emerges. Like you've heard of stories of people lifting up a car that might have been on a child, or right? Or it could be as simple as losing a job and something greater and bigger happens, right? Finding unity. Finding a new love after a breakup. Or it can come in more subtle, quieter ways, like in meditation or in a dream. But he says, however, the simplest and most frequent way we discover our will is through determined action and, wait for it, struggle. What? Struggle. But think about it. Through struggle. Where we discover our will is through determined action, right? So when we make a physical or mental effort, when we are actively wrestling with some obstacle or coping with opposing forces, we feel a specific power rising up within us, an energy. And it gives us the experience of willing, right? So, speaking of losing a love, I don't know if any of you saw the movie, The Dawn Face, I think is the name of it. And it's a story of a free climber, Tommy Caldwell. And free climbing is no supports. So you have a safety rope, but you are climbing cliff faces with your fingers, and just thin shoes, right? And Tommy Caldwell is a professional cliff climber. And he was doing this with his love and his wife and his partner for 10 years. This is what they did. That was his climbing partner, was his wife. And then, for whatever reason, she decided to move on, and he was heart-stricken. He was heartbroken. And so he went to Yosemite, which is where they lived there, and El Capitan, and he just would stare at it. He would just sit there, and he got a cabin next to it, and he would spend every day there just looking at that mountain. And there's one side of the mountain that nobody has ever free climbed, and it's called the Dawn Face. It's the first place where the sun comes up on the mountain. And nobody has climbed it because there really weren't the crevices and the cracks in the surface to get a good fingerhold or foothold and make a good ascent. And one of the things about Tommy Caldwell was earlier on, before the breakup, he lost his index finger. He cut it off with a saw when he was doing some carpentry work. And they did everything they could to try to put it back, because they say a rock climber without that finger, you might as well forget it. And that's what the doctors told him, is forget it. You're not going to climb anymore. You can't do it. But of course, his will was stronger than that, and he overcame that and continued to climb. That was hard for him. And so when he looked at the Dawn Face, and nobody's ever climbed it, and he could not get over this heartbreak, and he was just stricken, that he put all of his energy and all of his time into figuring out how he was going to climb this mountain. And after 6 years, he did it. And he took on a partner that had not done free climbing before for cliffs. He was a boulder climber, which is big boulders that are 30 feet high. And that was, free climbing or solo, no ropes. And he was not an experienced climber. And there was one place in the mountain that eventually Tommy got across. It took him days before he could get across, because the spread that he had to reach for and grab onto was so far. And when he did that, his footing, if he didn't do it just right, he would fall. And so that continued to happen. And so his partner, Kevin, could not get across. It was days and days and days. And then finally his partner just said, I'm holding you back. This is your dream. You go on without me. I will stay here and support you. And so Tommy did, and he got to a certain plateau. There was one place in the cliff that you could just sit on. He got to that plateau. He was close to the top. And he said, I'm not doing this alone. We started together. I'm going to go back and I'm going to wait until you get across, till you make that transition. And he did. And finally, his partner, Kevin, got across. And then they climbed together. So that's just an idea of the power of the will, the strength, right? And I'm sure you have your own story. It may not be climbing a mountain. But just take that in and see where I have been, what I have done, what I have gotten through, and what can I do from here? So the next idea that Assagioli tells us is to be careful with the will. Because the new awareness can easily be submerged by the constant surge of drives and desires and emotions. If we're not present with the idea of what the greater purpose is. Where am I going with this? What is the goal of this? Who does it serve? We can manipulate, we can bull through. And my own personal experience, one of my dreams was to start my own business. And when I did that, when I came to it, my job of 17 years in retail management ended, and I went forward with partners and we started a business. And my loving wife, who was always there and wanted input and give input, I bowled through and didn't give her that courtesy a lot of times, probably more often than not. Because my will was to start this business and get this business off the ground and become a viable, growing concern. That was my thing. This is me, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how I have to do it. So that's the use of the will in a self-serving manner, if you will. I'm not taking all of the factors into play. What am I doing with this? Where am I going with this? So Assagioli tells us that the function of the will is analogous to a ship captain steering a ship. The engine drives the ship. The captain or the helmsman knows the course. The obstacles could be the turbulence, the wind, the waves, other ships, maybe they're pirates, I don't know, but to stay the course, but doing it purposefully. So another form of resistance that Assagioli tells us can come from the prevailing tendency towards inertia. Rings true for me, to let the easygoing side of one's nature take control, to allow inner impulses of external influences dominate the personality. An unwillingness to take the trouble, right? To pay the price demanded by a worthwhile undertaking. And I think of this in our spiritual growth, in my spiritual growth. When I reach a place, when I became an LUT after the years of studying and going to classes and then going out to Unity Village and then taking the test and seeing the psychologist and all of those things that stressed the hell out of me. And when I overcame that, it was like, okay, I'm done. Have I arrived? Can I coast now? Right? But in reality, you can't, It's what's the next biggest thing? What's the next best thing for my awakening? For my awareness, for my growth, for my inner growth, for my spiritual development. And so a well-developed will improves the effectiveness of all future endeavors. So the final step is to realize that the will, the ultimate goal, the freed self, is the integration with the transpersonal self and the I consciousness. And so I relate to that when after my business closed in 2008, after 17 years, and if anybody was here for the 2008 economy downturn knows where we were, I had a new adventure, a new identity to align with. But I was going to Unity. I was learning better things and how to show up as a better version of myself. And I tell a story often in classes that in my business, I'm in sales, and when I started out with this new company, I had to do some new venturing into acquiring business. I had to do what we call cold calls, going up to businesses and knocking on the door and saying, "Here I am, you must need me," right? Which would have been my old approach, like I'm the greatest thing that you need, and here I am. My new approach was I would sit in the car and I would just visualize and imagine just sending them love. That I'm just here for love. I'm just here for that purpose, for connection, for relationship. That's all I'm here for. There's nothing that I am here for that I need or want to acquire. To change my concept of what my needs are into why am I here? Why are we all here, right? We are here for relationship to others. And so that's what Maslow would call the collective consciousness, right? To understand that how I show up affects everybody. So I want to take us back to the early days of unity. Because during that time, and what led Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder, his wife, to start the magazine, to start church, to start the unity movement, was Myrtle, at the age of 40, was told that she had tuberculosis and that she had 6 months to live. Now, part of the untold story, or in that, is that Myrtle was always told from young age that she was sickly, Thoughts are prayers, right, Meg? And so when traditional medicine doctors ceased to give relief, she began to research alternative methods, and that's when she started to find affirmative prayer. And she started attending lectures, and she had an epiphany. She had the awakening. She awakened to the truth that she was an expression of divine spirit, and it was through that very spirit that she could be healed. She discovered affirmative prayer. Instead of pleading with God to give her something or make something happen, she affirmed that what she asked for, she already had. I already have this. And that's what I'm aligning with. I'm aligning my personal self, my personality, my egoic self, with my higher self, my wholeness, my health. It said that Myrtle's faith never wavered. For 2 years, she did that. And she would send love to every cell in her body, to all her organs. And she lived another 46 years. She died at the lovely age at 86. So, Charles, in his studies, in his teachings, came up at some point, we don't know if he invented it or not, but he came up with the 12 powers, or the 12 faculties. And as I said earlier, one of those faculties or powers is will. So I'll end it with the unity 12 powers. It's the power to decide, to choose, to direct, to dictate, to determine. I claim will now. I use will to make wise choices, to realize the best version of me. And finally, with the quote from Myrtle, because you are spiritual beings with the freedom of choice, freedom of will, and with command of the power, faculties, and qualities of being. You can determine just what will come into your life. You can determine just what will come into your life. Thank you. Namaste. Now we go to I Choose Love.
What do you choose?
I like that.
Yeah, well, I hope it works after that beautiful talk about what do we choose? What is the consciousness that we let our mind travel to every day? It's either love or fear, right? So thought this was appropriate. And I also want to thank Brian right here for setting up everything, bringing everything in. We are richly blessed with talent.
It's a work in progress. You get better and better.
It is, absolutely. I can see laughter, I can see tears. I see a choice of love or fear. Oh, what do you choose? I can see peace or I can see war. I can see sunshine or I see a storm. What do you choose? Oh, I choose to love with freedom's fire. From my heart where the light keeps shining, I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I choose love. Join us again. I choose love. One more time. I choose love. I can see sharing or I can see greed. I can see caring or poverty. Oh, what do you choose? And I can see gardens or I can see bombs. I can see life or death. It's coming on strong. What do you choose? Oh, what do you choose? So I choose to love with freedom's fire. From my heart where the light keeps shining, I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that I can rise above. I choose love. I choose love. Take it away, Keith. With freedom's fire. From my heart where the choose to feel the whole world crying. I choose to feel the one voice rising. I choose to feel us all united with the strength that we can rise above. And I choose love. What do you choose? I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Bring it into your heart. I choose love. Bring it right into our hearts now. I choose love. I choose love. So it is. Yeah.
That was beautiful, Meg. Thank you. Thank you, music team. So is there anyone here celebrating with us for the first time? First time in a year and what, how many months, right? Annabelle. So know that we welcome all paths to God, and your presence here enriches us. So thank you. So we also want to thank, I'm going to say this right now, Ahavas Ahim Synagogue. I was told that that Gentiles can't pronounce Jewish words, but so that's the closest I can come for sharing this beautiful place with us and give us the opportunity to gather back in person. It's great. We'd also like to invite you to know that you can donate to Unity on the River, and know that your tithes and offerings enrich us and help us grow and will help us to do these all the time. We have baskets in the back of the sanctuary, so you can donate there. You can donate by texting GIVE to 833-702-4337. You can donate and text online or with Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, maybe? Venmo, right. So we take easy. And if you're on Zoom, you could just push that button, right? You have some more? Oh, good. Thank you.
Squeezing in. Yeah, so just a few other announcements. So the book drive, the UOTR social justice team is almost over, and they are going to get all their donations in by June 9th. And all of these books are going to local schools in time for the summer reading session. So if you would like to donate, you can email. I've written everything out on my arm. You can email Andrea Downing 0607@gmail.com. I think she's here right now, so you could talk to her. And then next week, we're going to have our next service with Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. So that's very exciting. And then there's one big event coming up in the middle of June. It's the virtual Unity Convention, so just keep your eye out for that. It will be happening from the June 14th to June 17th. And I think that's about it for the announcements.
I have one. Just that John Hyde will be coming back to play piano on the 20th. And so at that point, we're going to start our choir again for if you want to come up and sing. And, you feel comfortable getting in closer space if you assume we've been vaccinated or however you feel comfortable with that. But please, please join us if you love to sing, or even if you just hum around the house and you want to try it out, come on up. We meet at 8:30
in the morning and start our choir practice and our band practice.
And also to know that we have prayer chaplain available today. If you're here in person, you can go back and see Lacey, who would be love to pray with you, whether it's something you'd like to hold in your heart, or grievance, or anything that you want to hold in prayer, and Lacey would be happy to pray with you. And on Zoom, we have prayer chaplains in the Zoom room that you can go to a private room with them and pray with them. So thank you, Lacey, for being here. Thank you, Rena. And now we'll go into our closing song for Let There Be Peace on Earth by Brian and Keith. And they're not in the shed today. With Brian and Keith. We hope.
Do you want to stand with us? We'd love it if you.
Let there be peace on earth, let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace that was meant to be. God has created family, all are we. As one with each other, perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. Pray every step I take. Let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The presence of God, the power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we are richly blessed. Go out, be the best version. Thank you, Brian, and the music team for putting all this together. Thank you.
I choose peace. How about that?
recognize